in a simple query language, that is a M query. And the management of the parameters. Parameters is nothing but as an a dynamic filters which are called an a parameters. These parameters are very useful when you are applying the filters in the Power BI. In the generally with Excel, we can use the parameters. These parameters, in generally we're using the in Excel, we'll use the filters. These filters will applicable for only once, or a single filter can be applicable, or a multiple filter can be applicable for the twice and thrice. In the Power BI, by using the parameters, we can apply the dynamic filters in the visualization filter and the dynamic filters in the Power Query also. So these parameters will be very helpful in the things, and we are using one more concept, that is invoking custom function and the custom column, conditional column, and query column. So these all the topics will be covered by the today's morning session. So the first we'll start with an match queries. The match queries is one of the important operation which uses to join the two tables together based on the matching values from the one or multiple columns. For example, if you have a table with an four columns, that is a course ID, student ID, payment date, and fees paid. So these are the four columns are available in one table. In another table, we have the student table. They have a student ID, student name, and the student city. So these three columns are available in the other table. So here one matching, that means one column will be the specific column in between of the two tables. So if you click on the match queries, there two options will be available. Those two options will be the, you have to merge the columns in the same table, or you have to merge the columns in another table. That means you have to create the new table, or you can use the merge option in the same table itself. So if you select the merge option in the same table, then that particular merge option will be applicable in that particular table only. This merge option will work by matching of the two things. One is the same transaction ID, that means the same transaction column will be accepted. How many are the matching? If matching will be there, means that particular copied data from the second table will be pasted beside of that one only, will be pasted beside of that particular column only. So the match query will be applicable with the two existing tables together based on the matching values from one or the multiple columns. These match query is similar to the join on SQL queries. So if you are using an SQL, you can easily understand what is a joins. So in the joins also we are doing the same thing, that is a matching the queries. So the matching queries will be the applicable in between of the two tables. These two tables, the applicable content will be displayed. If you see in this image, if you see in this image, the changed type will be the table format. If you click on the table in the below of that one, you will get the details of that particular one. So how many student IDs will be the same thing? That means all the things will be displayed in the below. And we have one more option in the changed type, that is, if you want to get the sum of the values, if you want to get the maximum of the values, those options can be applicable. Those options can be available in that particular changed type. So this is about the merged queries. And the next one is append query. So what is an append query? Append query means it's a combining of the two rows from the two or more tables from any other structure. That means any other tables. So these append queries also will be used to combine the two tables into a single table. So if you have a two tables in the append query, also have a two options, that is append query in that particular table only, or else append query in another table. That means append in the new query or the append in the same query. So the same things will be used in this append only, but in the merged query we have the existing, that means matching will be considered. In the append query, matching will not be considered, and whatever the table is there in the previous table, that means in the second table, the total second table will be copied in the below of the table. That means that copying of the data will be pasted in the top which is selected by you, and the second, that means in the below of that particular table, the copy, that is a transposed data, will be pasted. So this is the difference between the merge and append. In the merge query, the matching will be considered. In the append, the matching is not required, but what is the content is there in that particular table, that particular content will be pasted in the below of the table. So in the merging and append queries, the merging will be specifically we will use for the matching of the two transaction IDs or the matching of the two columns. So it must be a matching content will be available. If matching content is not there, means the merge query will not work. So in the append queries, matching is not required. Matching is not a mandatory. If matching is available, means that is okay. If matching content is not there, means automatically the next transaction IDs, that means the next rows will be pasted in the below of this one. If you see here in this image, until the 17, there is a one table. From the below 18, there is a second table. If any values are not there, means automatically it considered as a null value and it will paste in the null over there. So if you see in the previous one, it will be pasted in the
Sorry, sir.
beside of this only. That means change your type.
Sir, I have a small doubt. Can I ask?
Yeah,
So I'll come into the append. We'll come into the append definition. Please, for the second slide.
coming to the append.
Append, the structure will be the same, no?
Yeah, the
That
structure
means the
will be the
data
same.
type it will be.
It is
Yeah, you can see here structure of the column of the table should be the same. It means the data type should be the same. Then only we will get accurate results. Otherwise, there is no use for the appending the query. No.
this structure will be the same. Means if you see in the student ID and the student name here, the student ID
Okay.
student name is the first table one.
Okay.
Course ID, course fee is the contents of the second table.
Okay.
So table one will remains the same in the student ID and the student name. We are appending the second table details in the student, that means in the table one. So we are getting the second student details from the second table into another table one. That means the same details will be getting in the below of that particular table. So we are getting
Okay.
the,
Okay. It will be added. The two tables will be added in a vertical manner.
yeah,
Okay. It is okay. But what about the structure? Without the matching the structure, we can add up the two tables. What is the use of that append?
yeah, I got your point. What is the use of the append means, if you are getting the details from the one table to the another table, and you are matching, you are not concentrating on the matching. You are getting all the details in a single table, and this structure will remind you in the uh, how many columns, how many rows will have in a single thing. So it's purely on the merging of the two tables.
Just I am asking what is the meaning of the structure of the columns?
The structure of the columns will be is the, it will remains the same. I will explain you in the what when you are doing in the practical session, it's clearly shows you that what is the difference between the merge and the what is happened here. The mainly concentrating on only the copying of the data from the one table to the another table. It gives the better explanation purpose.
Okay, okay. No issues. You can continue.
So this is the difference between the merge and the queries. Next one is in a custom functions. In these custom function, we are mainly